Well, hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. I think I have everything set. Alright, let's see. There we go. Alright, so what are the rules for a leap year? So let's give an example. An example of a leap year is, let's just use, no, I'm trying to remember the first leap year. Hey Nico, how are you doing? First leap year maybe I learned about, I can't remember, maybe 88, 19, not 18, I'm not that old. I don't know if I would have noticed the leap year in 84 when I was a kid. I remember that was probably the biggest Olympics that I learned. So I don't think I actually learned the real rules for a leap year until I know it was when I was programming, so probably between 8 and 10 years ago, something like that. So the rules for a leap year are a little bit more complicated than you think they are. So we have to think about that as we're going to do this. So we're going to do, what's a leap year? Oh, great question. All right. So every so often on the calendar, Nico, if you go look at the calendar and look at January or look at February, this year there was February 29th. That doesn't happen that often. You know how February only has 28 days most of the time? Well, a leap year is when we have an extra day. And there are quite a bit of complexity. So if we were, let's look, do I have, let me pull up calendar. Calendar. All right. So if we look, I think should be in screen. If we look right here, February, let's make sure that's, yep, okay. So February 29th for 2024. So this is a leap year. We go back to 2023, there is no 29th. There's only 28. So the leap year does not happen February 29th doesn't happen all the time. So there are certain rules, and I thought it was as simple as every 4 years. And the way that I really remembered it was whenever there's a presidential election in the United States. Well, that's not actually the case. So it actually gets more complicated than this. And it's a great programming exercise. So here's an example. 1988 was a leap year. 1992 was a leap year. 1996, 2000. Well, this seems like a pretty simple understanding. Well, this right here is the outlier. So 2000, you're like, well, yeah, it's every 4 years. Now, here's the problem. If you were to go back to 1900, and you're like, all right, that should be a leap year. Well, it is not, because this is divisible by 100. Now it gets weirder. So all of these, so if we were to go 1888 leap year, 1892 leap year, 1896 leap year, 1900 no leap year. Because it is not 100%. So you're like, okay, so it skips every 100 years. Well, yes, but it gets more complex. So 1800, 1700, no leap year, no leap year, no leap year, but then 1600 was a leap year. So I told my kids that I said, you guys were the first ones to have a century mark that to be a leap year, because 2100 will not be a leap year. 2200 won't be a leap year. 2300 won't be a leap year, but 2400 will be. So, all right. If you're noticing this pattern, we need to devise. So I'll verbally try to say it, then we have to devise this for Python brain. So we're going to go human brain and then Python brain. All right, so if it is divisible by 4, it is a leap year. Except, does this mean that some people haven't been alive for enough time to have a leap year? Possibly. Well, no. You would have to be, because they happen typically every 4 years. Now, you are going to have some that will skip. So you'd have to be, well, if you're alive now, 24, there was a leap year now. So the century mark, the one with the century, you may not be around for. So my kids, I will probably not make it to 2100, but my kids will, and that'll be the first time to not have a leap year in 200 years, if that makes sense. So let's kind of verbally try to lay this out. So every 4 years, let's use numbers. Every 4 years, except if it's 100 years apart, and then but except if it's 400 years apart. So let's kind of look at this. So divisible by 4 every 4 years. The divisible is no. Maybe that's right. And then not visible, then divisible by 400. All right. So now we have to begin All right, I think I was a bit confused and thought that a leap year happened every 100 years. No, that's what I'm attempting to explain, and this is why this is such a subtle problem. So the year 2000 was a leap year, but that's the first century mark that was a leap year since 1600. So there was no leap year in 1900, there was no leap year in 1800, there was no leap year in 1700. But 1600 was a leap year because the centuries only happen every 400 years. So let's think about this. So what I was attempting to say is There's a functionality of it to keep the amount of time of the Earth rotating around the sun, is that it's a little bit off every year, and we make up for it by every fourth year adding a day to the calendar. So that puts it back in alignment. But even those little increments, it's off just a little bit. So every 100 years, we're going to skip. So basically every 9, is a leap year when our time system isn't adjusted correctly and each amount of the year is displaced by up to create a leap year. Well, yes, a leap year contains a leap day. And a leap day is just an extra day to put our calendar and our celestial position closer to alignment, because it's never really 100%. Same thing because the way that our like when we spin, it's not actually our complete rotation. It's not actually 24 hours. It's 23. Blah 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 blah. But it's close enough. Same thing with our tracking around the sun. It's not exactly 365 days, but it's close enough. But every so often, we have to add a day, because it's not enough for 366 days. It's in between. So every so often, we add a day. Then, every 96 years, we skip adding a day. But then every 399 years, we add a day back, if that makes sense. So we're going to lay this out. So if it's divisible by 4, it's a leap year. Unless it's divisible by 100, it's not. Unless that divisible by 100 is also divisible by 400. You know that fish that is named blobfish? I think maybe I've heard of the blobfish, but I don't know exactly what it may look like. All right. So we need to start laying this out. So here's our primer. So every 4 years, so we're going to have some nested conditions here. So we need to go ahead and get started. So if you're just jumping in and out, what we're doing is we're looking at the subtleties of a leap year. And the leap year definition is maybe a little bit more complex than you may be aware, because I was in my late 30s, early 40s until I really understood the definition of a leap year. Because I thought it was simply every 4 years, and that is not accurate. All right, I think Nico sent something. Nico, did you delete something? Because I thought I saw something. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on laying this out. Did I unmute? I did. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm getting... my system is where I turn on OBS. That then blocks Discord. I go over to Discord, tell everybody that I'm on a stream, and then I unmute. And then by that time, it's loaded up it's buffered into YouTube. And then okay, you sent me something. I'll check again. Oh, that's the blobfish. That is a gnarly looking creature. All right, that's gonna give me some trauma today. Thank you, Nico. All right, let's get started. Is leap. So we're gonna take in year. Let's just do Y for year. All right, so if Y, and the reason why I make a big deal about this is all of these subtleties of control of flow, order of operations. Am I covering all of my paths? Covering your paths is important of when you're grouping with SQL, if you're making a decision path in Python or any other programming language. Am I starting where I know I'm starting, and am I getting to where I want to get? All right. So if year divisible by 4 modulo 4 equals 0. So in case you are new here and you do not know the modulo sign, so let's look at 1997 and we divide by 4. We get this and we get all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Actually, that's not how it looks. That's how it looks out of water. Everyone knows it by that image instead of how they can look underwater. Check it out. So you're going to send me, okay, is it less traumatic when it's underwater? All right, that's less traumatic, but that's still pretty blobby. No, okay. That's not as bad. That's still bad. That's still a very traumatizing looking fish. All right, thanks, Nico. All right, let's keep going on this. So now, the modulo I get, so whole number remainder. All right, this is the remainder in decimal form, but what does modulo do? Not a dollar sign, print sign. And I always learned it as modulo. So there's 1. Before I divide it out, before I turn this into decimal, this is my remainder. I don't know if you remember, because when I was being taught division, we did it longhand, and then we would actually do like R for the remainder, and then how much there was. So you get when you use modulo, you get the remainder. So all right. So now here we are. We have this is our big net. This is going to catch most of everything. And then we need to handle, except if it's the century mark. So return. Do we want to do return or do we want to do print? Let's do print. Let's do both. Print is a leap year. Not leap year. And then return true. All right, so now we're going to start finding our paths and making sure that this is exactly the case. So we're going to call is leap, not this, is leap, and then we're going to check 1997. We're going to copy this and paste 96, paste 2000, paste, and then we need to check 1900. So, all right, so 1900. So we need to know, this is no, this is yes. So this is part of validation. You want to test what you do know and make sure. So we're going to get these first two. These should be right. This should be right on accident, and this will be wrong. All right, so 2000, yes. And then 1900 should be no. But watch what comes out. Well, that's weird. Because right now, I'm only getting... Okay. Divided by 4. I'm calling 4 and I'm getting 3 output. Okay. Excuse me. Well, let's deal with this. Okay. Anybody catch what I'm doing wrong? Yes, it is doing 1, 2, 3. And then is not a leap year and return false. Because only one of these was true. So, of course, this is going to happen this way. So, if you're just joining us today, what if we use dots instead of spaces? Dots instead of spaces. What lines, Nico? And if you're just joining us, please make sure you're hitting the like button. And if you do like this channel, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any videos as they come out. But dots instead of spaces. What lines are you referring, Nico? And I'll look. You talking about on any of my indentions? I just think it's cleaner. All right, so now, and we can also clean this up and really get this really well. Year, and F string. There we go. All right, run this again. All right, so we can 100% know what we're talking about. Just clean this up so we don't have to come back over here and do exactly what I did earlier. So 1997, not a leap year. Okay, correct. Like, what if the dots are accepted as a space? I guess I've never checked. No, because Python counts white spaces. So you're talking about here? No, Python is looking for white spaces to know that this is indented body for this header. So that's the correlation. And it just that was actually one of the largest things, one of the compelling things when Python was first being created was readability. It's very, very close, very, very adjacent to English, and that was the whole goal as that was being created. And your eyes just fall here. All right, so this is what we were expecting is a leap year. Do I think it would be? Okay, it was behind an emoji heart. Hey, Unfinished, how are you? Glad to have you here today. We are looking at the subtleties of the leap year. And I think we talked about this regarding the code. What is the necessity of writing return false, true? I mean, what is the significance of a function that returns true or false? All right. So that's actually a really good question. Let's kind of dive into this for a minute. So I have both of these right here, just so if we were to use it later. So when you return, so let's actually talk about return and print for a second, because that's actually a very important subtlety to Python. So print is output to the screen. So how about we call our idle the screen? So on the we're gonna go way back for a minute. So my right side, my script, my left side, my interpreter, my idle. So thank you, Nico. Make sure you like. And if you've not joined the Discord server down in the description, make sure you're doing that, because that's the best way to get a hold of somebody to ask a question. So in Python, when you have a function, there's a lot of internal activity that happens inside a function. So when you use return, you're actually creating something. If you do not use the return statement inside a function, it is going to do it and stay there. It's like you're going to create a piece of art but not share it with the world. You need to have a return statement at the end or somewhere in the function for it to actually do it. So this is a little touch sloppy. I guess I was thinking that if we would use this function later, if I'd come up with some very cool thing to do this here. Because the reason why I had print is so I didn't have to. If I commented these out, actually, let's go ahead and show. Let me show you a variation of this. This is a great question. Comment. And then let's say, let's comment these out too. So what you then have to happen is I come here. Now let's comment all this out. So let's go back one. Control Z, copy, paste. Now for this to work, let's do this right here. Now I run this and everything happened. So I created this, but there is no output anywhere. Now I've called this and I ran this function, but this is the creation of it. So I would need to do, if I were to want to see this output, I would need to do this. Now I could also, since this is creating something, I could take these and assign this to a variable like, well, this is 1900. This is legal too. So then I could call 1900 and I would get this. But right now, since I just want these out on the screen, I would need to print and so on. I'd have to add a print statement because Python understands that that function was creating something, but was not telling it to print it out to my interpreter. So now I'm back to square one. So the reason why, yes, that is a little odd to have a print and a return in the same function. So let's go ahead and get these back to where we were. I was doing this to have output while also creating if this was true and false. So that was a touch misleading, but that is a fantastic question. And that goes to everybody who's here. If I'm doing something that doesn't seem exactly right, or you're not exactly, if I've had a gap in my explanation, that's my fault. All right, I'll say that again. If I've made a gap and you don't understand it, that's my fault. I am actually I'm about to do a whole series on communication, and I'm working on that. So if somebody's not explaining it well enough to you, it's not you, it's them. Because they have a gap in their information and they can't drill down far enough to explain why they're doing it. And if they then get upset while you're asking a question, that's not you, that's them, because you've inadvertently pointed out a gap in their knowledge. They know why they're doing it, but they cannot articulate why they're doing it. Then they become frustrated. So don't ever let anybody get mad at you and make you feel bad for asking a question, because you had the question, right? If they were explaining something to you and a question arose, they caused the question. Just like I did here. This is not normal, and I get that. I was doing, and I went right by it. Why am I having a print statement and a true statement? Now, here's an interesting thing about Python. If I were to put this return above the print, nothing would happen, because this is called, everything below return in the body is called dead code. Because once Python reads a return, it stops doing it. So now, so we are partially through our path. So this path is a little weird that we need to handle. It needs to be divisible by 100 and divisible by 400 to be a leap year. If it is only divisible by 100, it is not a leap year. So this is incorrect. This is correct. Now, it did exactly like I told it to. So don't think that I'm saying that Python is wrong. My decision path is wrong. So now, if it's divisible by 400, all right. Hey Dax, how are you doing? Glad to have you here. We're going over the subtleties of a leap year. I think we've already talked about this once on another stream, but we're really drilling down into the subtlety of a leap year definition. So now we need to handle not having 1900, because we are getting 2000 correct, but we are only getting 2000 correct on accident. So we're getting, this is a perfect example. We're getting a false positive for both of these. False positive here, and then just a negative. So this is completely wrong. This is wrong on accident. So right here I'm a broken clock. I'm accidentally having 2000 be a leap year, and most everybody doesn't know this rule because 2000 was divisible by 400. So we need to handle this. People in the 1900s, they were aware of this subtlety of a leap year, but we were not, because we were born, we are all living around the 400 mark. So let's go ahead and go through this. All right. So we need to get into here. So if it's divisible by 400, now we need to have an if, and we really need to have this inside of here, because all right, if year divisible by 100 and year divisible by 400. Not just divisible, but modulo. Modulo has to be the remainder. And year modulo 400 also equal to 0. Then we can come here and go blank, blank, and okay. Nope. All right. So now let's test this and see if we got any better. All right. So we have a whole, we've just lost 2, and let's see. So this is garbage right now because we just lost two outputs. So 1997 is not a leap year. All right. 2006, that disappeared. So it jumps. So we're jumping into here. And all right. Because So this is not where this needs to go. And it's not going to be and. I wondered if we could clean this up. So this is wrong. If y. Okay, let's go through our paths right now. So 96 got excluded. So we're going to go if, and then else on our way out. All right, so we got 97. That jumped here. That was right. 2000. And we skipped 96. So 96's path is wrong. Okay, so all right, so let's get this going right now. So okay. Nope. We want to test this as well. Because if it's 4, it could be, possibly. And then modulo, yeah, okay. We need to come in here, check. 0. All right. Bingo. Here's where it is. What was wrong with the... I hate this emoji. I don't think... Okay. Okay, that's... Okay. What was wrong with the code of the very beginning one? All right. Very begin... The last one I wrote... Here, let's go back here. Talking about this one right here. I should have run it like this. So we can have an example. What was wrong with that? Okay, this is a great Fazia. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You're asking right here why this was wrong? Well, first thing that jumped out, and I did this early on in our example, and I completely missed this. All right. The divisible by 4. This right here. Why was divisible by 4 wrong? Because if that is the piece that you are asking, before the nesting. Got it. Okay. Because the rule for a leap year, you may just be joining us. So the rule for a leap year is more subtle than... Well, first, how about we go back? Are you aware what a leap year is? Because that is important. So a leap year contains a leap day. And a leap day occurs on February 29th. Typically, February only has 28 days. Except when a leap year occurs, which most people think the definition of a leap year is every 4 years, and that is inaccurate. So when we did... Okay, sorry. I just wanted to double check because we did have somebody earlier who was unaware what a leap year is. So let's see. And nope, back one. Talking about this right here. What was wrong with this? Because this is inaccurate. Because 1900 is not a leap year. That's why That's why this is inaccurate. Because 1900 is not a leap year. So these examples, 1700, 1900, 1800, not leap years. 1600 and 2000 were both leap years. The next leap year century mark will be 2400. We will not have a leap year in 2100. We will not have a leap year in 2200. We will not have a leap year in 2300. But we will again at the century mark of 2400. So that's why I love this example so much, is because you're like, all right, so I have a path. I have to navigate this. So when I run this function, F9, see how, oops. So I get this, wrong one. So I get this, and this is wrong. So I've got to devise a path to get this, because I'm correct here, but I'm correct on accident. I don't have a proper path. I'm right here, I'm a broker. So I'm correct and correct because these are non-centuries. I am incorrect here, and I'm only correct on accident for 2000 because both of these are divisible by 4. This is 100% wrong. This is wrong because I'm deducing it by accident. All right, cool. All right, let's keep going. But thank you. That is an awesome question. Thank you so much. I don't believe I've noticed you here before. Is this your first time joining our stream? Because we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. But glad to have everybody here. And please, if you have a question, please ask it. Because I'm the one causing it, because I'm the one teaching. You guys aren't doing this, I am. So please ask a question. All right. So we've got to fix these paths. So when we do this one, let's see. So now, see how I already know I have a garbage path? Because I'm not even getting, I'm getting is not a leap year. All right. I'm missing 96, which should be a leap year. And then I'm getting 2000 again. So I just went completely backwards and made this worse. And that's why I'm a big fan now, and I wished I knew this earlier, of running parts of your code and highlighting it so that you can go back and look at it, and you can have something here to help you go, oh, wait a second. That's the difference between this and this. So it's like, well, wait a minute, what did I change? Well, if you run the code segment, you can go, oh, wait a second. Here's the difference between what I did between these two. So, all right. So we need to fix this. So let's do this incrementally. Let's get rid of this one. And then let's go simply else. So we have an if and an else. And this is if it's divisible by, this is not, this is a leap year, this is not a leap year. All right. Else, leap year. Let's see if this solved our path. All right, so you always want to count up your if. I got an if and an else, an if and an else. All right, let's run this. See if we're getting closer. Okay, we are getting worse. All right, so it's not a leap year. Okay, this should not have a not in it because this is my else to here. So, okay, you also have to pay attention to what you're typing. Is not a leap year. All right, we're getting close. First, you've caught everything. You're getting all your responses. So everyone through here, everything has a path. Now, it may not be exactly the output, But it was not like this example here where you just lost half of your respondents. So now we just need to tweak this. So let's see. 97. So this path is correct. This path is correct. This path is not correct. So that means that we're getting closer on our 2000. So now this is not a leap year. So we've captured this one. We fixed this century one, but we now, as we're going and incremental development. Let's talk about this for a second. Do not try. I broke all kinds of rules in the past few days of live streams. I would write huge segments of code without testing any of it. Do not do that, because we will end up chasing your tail all day trying to find out where in the world everything is. Oh, hang on everybody. I need to send something. All right, hang on. I'm almost done. And send. Let me do one more. All right. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Okay. So we are down to our super secret special last 20 or 2000, because what we're going to do is we're going to do one more here. Let's check. Let's check 1600. And this should be a yes. Run. So good path, bad, good, bad. So these two scenarios divisible by 400. So now we need to handle this. So we're going to need to jump into here. So if y modulo 400 equals 0, then it is a leap year. Else it is not. Nope, this is going to be that, and then this is a leap year. So let's check this, and we're going to go back through. We're going to do all these paths, and we're going to double check. All right. 1997 is not a leap year. Good. Perfect. 1996 is a leap year. Perfect. 2000 is a leap year. All right. Better. 1900 is not a leap year. 1600 is a leap year. Fantastic. So I remember when I first ran across this, and with all of my neurodivergent issues, which that term I've only started hearing that over the past few years ago. When I started to read, how do you write a function to calculate a leap year? I was like, well, that's going to be simple. And because I had already just done an even or a divisible or something along those lines. And I'm like, it's just going to be blah, 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 blah. And then there was a whole bunch of extra sentences. I'm like, there's going to be a lot of sentences here to explain what a leap year is. And that was when I was in my, like I said, late 30s, early 40s. And it may have been just early 40s. And when I found out that I didn't actually know what the real rule for a leap year was. And this just blew me away, that the first time in 400 years that we had a leap year on the century mark. So, I don't know. I thought that was extremely, very, very cool. So it was the first time in, 99 years? Very cool. All right. And so there we go. Now, that's the leap year. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk about, this one is really, really good. And we could set up this criteria of how we want to round these things. So let's say you're a teacher and you want to automatically round grades, and you want to give everyone the next highest 90, the next 5. So let's say it was a 71, you would not round this up to anything. This would stay a 71. So if it is I guess we have 2 examples. Let's do another one over here. Let's say it was a 90. So 90, so this is 93, 90, 94, 95. So if it was a 98, 98. Of course, again, we could devise this and come up with our own rules. Would go to 100. All right. So this is going to be pretty interesting, but it's along the same concepts of, let's copy this and bring this over here. Copy. 1, 2, 3, 1, and paste. All right. So first we have to understand. So let's actually talk about this for a second, because I'm actually trying to work on this articulation for a video for LinkedIn. Communication. Everybody thinks communication is one thing, and it's actually, I just had this, I was at the gym yesterday, and it dawned on me what communication was, and I actually just broached it just a few minutes ago in this video. It's not actually articulation, it's comprehension. And that was like this aha moment, and that's kind of what happens when you get to be old. So when the better you understand something, and when I'm explaining, and it's not better, and see, even better is not the perfect example of what I mean when I say better. How small can you break this down? How simple can I make this explanation? Can I explain this concept to a kindergartner, a 5-year-old? If I understand this, and I understand it well, then I can explain it to anyone. That is communication. If I can explain this, I can teach it. If I can teach it, I can get them on board. If I can get them on board, I can have them be a team player. That all seems under the guise of, because you hear hiring managers, you hear bosses having to understand, you have to communicate this. You have to communicate this. Well, we get hung up on what the definition of communication is. And definition is not, communication is actually not using of words. It's transmitting an idea. It's transmitting an idea and then someone comprehending what you're saying. So let's kind of break that down for a minute. If there's a gap in the comprehension, the explanation is poor. And if the explanation is poor, the explanation is too complicated. So if the explanation is too complicated, it is not granular enough. It is not simple to digest. It is not in small enough pieces. So if you want to become a better communicator, just spend more time understanding what the problem is. And that was like my biggest aha moment that I've had probably in a very, very, very long time. And I don't know if that's going to be my second or my third video that I do on LinkedIn, because I'm going to begin to articulate. Everybody, a boss and a hiring manager wants you to be good at communication. You don't have to go to speaking class. You don't have to go to debate. How well do I understand what this problem is? Can I explain to everyone in the simplest and the fewest amount of words, and have them understand it? So, all right, now let's dive into this problem. So one thing that why I was a great partner for my business partners when I was at Walmart is I spent more time understanding of the problem than they did. I took that from them and they loved it. And I understood the data better than they did. Even though it was their data, I understood how the table functioned. I understood how it was being derived into the table, where it was coming from. I completely enveloped myself in everything that was happening with that data. So I understood everything about the problem. All right, I need to check on a kid and make sure, yep, that's what I was worried about. All right, so now we're going to begin, I'm going to attempt to articulate this. So in this example, if the student receives a grade 2 away, I think this is it. I may be coming up with an extremely complicated example that we're going to spend hours on, which we're only going to spend maybe another, how long have we been streaming? About an hour. And look, I love algorithms like this that are so complicated because I'm always trying to find a better way and because I could write a bunch of ifs here and make this work, but I would be spending all my time. If it's 90, literally, we could write if 90, we could handle this with what? We're going to round up 2 letters, each letter 10. We could do 10 ifs. We could 10 if else elif combinations and write this. But that's not algorithmic design. That's not catching everything big and then breaking it up into smaller pieces. Hey, how are you doing? So if you're just joining us, please make sure you're hitting that like button on this video. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe for me. It makes me happy. And also make sure you're joining the Discord server because that is absolutely the best way. If you have any questions, Python related and now SQL related, I'd be more than happy to because I want to say we created a SQL channel. We did. Cardinal created a SQL channel. Cardinal's awesome. Jan's awesome. We have a great admin, great moderator. A lot of help, a very good growing community. Actually, yesterday on the stream, we passed 300 members. Hang on, let me get over there. 300 members on the, right? It should be 301 now. So that was absolutely very awesome. I appreciate everyone coming to hang out today. So now, what we just finished up was looking at how to write a function for leap year and the subtleties of it, because it is more complicated than you believe it is. And we had all our paths here. We had our ifs and our elses as we're moving through. How can you join the Discord? There should be a link down in the description, down in the video below, and you can go ahead and just jump on over there. I believe because we've gotten a few during the stream. Go ahead and try that link, and if it does not work, let me know, and we'll figure something out. All right, but back to our rounding problem. Like I said, we could do this by hand, very, very, very ugly code where we could say if grade is 99, round up to 100. If grade is 98, round up to 100. But now, that would be uncreative. That would be an uncreative way to go about doing this. So let's begin to look and see, can we make a bucket that would explain this? And when I use the word bucket, I use it as a scenario term. So here's a scenario, because 1996 was a leap year, so that scenario is divisible by 4. So it's the same thing with an even number. And the same thing with the prime number. All of these things have a scenario. They have an underlying definition. A definition for an even number is that number is divisible by 2 with a remainder of 0. So the more I understand this problem, the easier I can articulate it, and the more I can articulate it, the easier I can convert this over to Python brain. So, same thing with a prime number. A prime number is a number that is only evenly divisible by 1 and itself. So I will test all the numbers in between. If any of those fail and they divide evenly, it is not a prime number. So now, all of these things that I do lead to another. So what you're going to notice, now I'm remembering how I went about doing this. What you're going to notice is this is going to have the same type of scenario as our number triangle. And this is why I love all these, because when you start writing or working for somebody or doing any of these solving of these problems, ratios, scenarios, equivalencies, all of these things are the same. So I want you to look at this. So if I am, so let's just start coming up with a scenario. All right, so 100 is divisible by 5. 95, is that divisible by 5? All right, so are we rounding up to the nearest 5? Okay, let's begin to look at this. So 90, 93, so 93 and 94. And then if it's 90, so if it's 2 away from the next 5. Does that make sense? If it is within a threshold of 2, so 94 and 95, let's do it like this. 93 and 94 would go up to 5. 98 and 99 would go up to 100. Hey Vinky, how are you doing? Is this for 100 and 400? Is that in regard to the leap year? You want to go back to the leap year, because we can touch on that. Did you understand? Were you here when we were going over the leap year, or did you just join us right now? All right. Don't know the delay in the stream, and looks like it's live. I think it's live. Is it yeah, just got here. All right, so Vinky's been hanging out a lot. So do you understand how we figured out the leap year and how we made this work? Because leap years have a more complicated definition than you may believe. But go back and look at it. Take a peek at this, and as we're laying out our example of our next rounding, we'll go over and look at this. So now, so if we are here, so let's go through this. 93, 94 goes to 95. So 90, 91, 92, nothing happens. So let's check and see what 93 looks like, to just kind of get an idea of what this is. All right, so here we are. 3. Interesting. Then 94. 4. All right, anybody seeing a pattern? Because every time you write an algorithm, it's nothing more than a pattern. What is my pattern that I'm doing to capture this? And that's a word I haven't used yet. Pattern. What is a pattern that happens here? I'm writing rules to capture these things. So now I want to take and come up with a rule for a pattern of if it is 93. So basically, I don't want to have to sit here and write an if for 99, elif 98, go to 100. Then if I want to write the minimal, I'm a minimalist and I'm lazy. I want to write the most minimal amount of code that I have to. So now let's look at something. So I just did 93 and 94. That would go up to 5. So I want you to look really, really close and watch really, 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 really close to this. So 99, 98. Anybody see a pattern yet? Okay. I'll do it again. Anybody see the pattern? Okay, so I'm going to go down to 80, 88 and 89. Let's do 80, 88 and 89. Anybody see it yet? And then let's get on the other side of 90. Bingo. Well, let's get on 8. Let's do 83 and 84. Let's do 83 first. 84. So here's, I don't want to say it, but I want to see if anybody is noticing this. Oh, I got this. I got it crammed better. 80, 84 goes up. 83 and 84 goes up to 85. 90, 93, and then 80, 88, 89 rounds up to, oh my goodness, I guess I look at my keyboard more than I'd like to imagine. So I want to have scenarios where I round up if it is, I want 93 and 94 to round up to 95. I want 98 and 99 to round up to 100. I want 83 and 84 to round up to 85. 88 and 89 I want to round up to 90. And so on and so forth. Same thing for 70s. Same things for 60s. And then, yeah, actually, I want to have another example. We're going to make this very fancy. And then 75, that's a D, and if it's below, there we go, if it's below a D, or if it's in the F area, so 60, why can't I, 60-68, 69, then F is, why isn't that capital? 69, 70, 79, 80, 89, 90. So why can't I figure this at 59? There we go. That was messing me up bad. That was weird. All right. We're going to do this longhand just so we have everything that we can check. So this is 78-79. Round up to 80. Copy. Paste. we're going to do, we can make a decision here in a minute. So 60, 65, and 60, and 70. And if it's an F, no rounding. There we go. Okay. Now, this should be jumping out. Pattern recognition. Beginning to see patterns. You want to, so right now, this is our big net. Is it going to be just like we did here? Big, big, big net. Then we had our secondary decisions, second and third dairy. So right now, we're going to jump into here, because if it's 53, we don't care. We're not going to round up a 53. We're not going to take time. They're going from a 53 to a 55. We don't care. So right now, we need to handle this. But I'm going to let you guys look and think about this, because right here is your pattern. I think I did most every scenario. So I did 93 and 94. Then I did 92. Did 98 and 99, 88, 89, and 80. Check out my pattern of my remainders. It is exactly like, it is another scenario. It is the same type of, excuse me, whoa. Same type of layout as our number triangle. And if you are just joining us and you've not hit the like button, do me a big favor and make sure you're hitting that like button. And is it, would it be Maryho? Were you able to get your, did you find the Discord link? Because I did not get anybody who just joined on Discord. So I was just curious if you were having an issue. All right. So, def round. So I can't do round because that's already a predefined function. So rounding. So I'm going to take num. Now, what did anybody notice? Did anybody see the pattern? What do I need to do to make this work? So if it is, how do I know to round 93? So let's do a deep dive into 93 modulo 5 and 92 modulo 5, because we're going. So how I knew to check by fives is because I want to see how close it is to each of these. So I don't need to know which one this is. I just need to know that if it's closest to the next 5. So I'm going to round 93, but I'm not going to round 92. Why? Type into chat either why you think, how am I going to determine, and then I'm rounding 90. So let's look, let's find this pattern. 88 is being rounded, 83 is being rounded, 93 is being rounded, and let's do 98. 98 modulo 5. 98 and 88, exactly the same. So on the other half, wish I could do columns. So 98, 88, got a remainder of 3. So now I do 83 and 93, have a remainder of 3. So All right, I'll go ahead. So first we need to, let me do our first bucket, and then we go from here. All right, so if num, actually let's do grade. It's a lot, I don't like, it's a lot more letters, but doesn't matter. So if grade is greater than, okay, you're great, keep it up. I should keep up 100. I should have go to your episode 15. You're on episode 15 already on my, yeah. So there are, I haven't actually put up a video because I've only been doing live streams for the past 2 weeks since I got see, I can't tell if I got let go or if I left, because I could have kept my job, but I would have to move across the country, and I was not interested in that. So I guess I let go myself. I don't know. I didn't want to relocate, so I left the company. All right, but I digress. But 1,000. How many videos do I have? Hang on. 1,997, and then a whole bunch of live streams. So I have, and then I have a few trailers that have been redone. So I have over 1,100. Sorry, I have over 1,100 pieces of content on this channel. So I always challenge everyone if there's something that I have not made a video on, and actually I think it was Nico that found out that I did not have a video on Quargs. I had something on ARGs, but yeah, that's probably the first person who's found something that I've not had a video on. And all right, so if let's just say if grade greater than 60, then begin to check all of this. All right, so did anybody notice this pattern? So we're only going to be rounding the two scenarios if they have a remainder of 3 or 4. So let's go through this. So 90 doesn't need to be rounded because it has a remainder of 0. 91 is not going to get rounded because it has remainder greater or equal to 3. Bingo. So 92 is not going to get rounded because it is so 93, and Vinky wins the prize. Now, that's step 1 of this. Now, how would we know how much to round? This is what I love. All right. Now, half of the problem is solved. I guess really half, then quarter of the remainder greater than 3. But now where, okay, so if rounding, so then we'll do because we want to, no, we'll just have it, we don't need an else because it's just not going to happen. So because if it's not that, okay, so here we go. So how would we, so what do we need to do? We have 93. How do I need to get that to 95, Venky? I need question mark. Let's do pass. It's going to throw up. Actually, I can't believe it hasn't done that yet. So if I need 93 and I need to get it to 95, what do I need to do? I need 93, and I need to move it to 95. How do I need to get that to 95? I need to add, let's see. Memory cards. Oh, Nico, you want us to make a game for memory cards? Is that what you're thinking? That would be interesting. I don't know. Sorry, let's go back to, here we are. So 95 minus 3. So I need that to go up. I need to add 2 to 93. So now here's the interesting thing that, bingo. I love it, Vinky. 100% correct. So here's the pattern. So I need then, if I have 94, I need to add 1 to it. So 5. So the remainder of 93 was 3. Minus 93. So here, let's do grade 93. So we're going to test this. So grade modulo 5. I get 93. Okay. So, or I get 3. So then take 5 minus this plus grade. All right. Is this it? Woohoo! Okay. So now let's try. Let's see how close we are. So now let's reassign grade to 94. Bingo. So here is the formula that we have right here. Vinky is 100% correct. So now let's go, and we need to say return grade. Let's see, how long are we in here? Hour and 23 minutes. All right, we're doing good. So grade. Whoa, no, come on. Return grade. We said 5 minus grade modulo 5 plus grade, and then return grade. Then we're going to go print rounding, and we're going to try 73. All right, so that seems to have worked. So now let's try a couple others. All right. Let's do 99. 73. Let's do 64. 61. And then now we need to try 55. Let's see if this. I don't like commas. You guys will just probably throw you off. All right. Let's get this. Let's clean this up. That was garbage. My bad, guys. All right. Unrounded, pre-rounded. What do we want to call this? Before rounding. before rounding because I got to clean this up. Sorry, guys. Cut equals that. Return new grade. So I'll go over what I'm doing because I want to differentiate between before rounding. I'm going to put in grade. Then after rounding. And we need to say that it didn't get rounded. Yeah, let's do that. All right, before rounding, grade, after rounding. New grade. And curly brackets closed. All right. And this needs to be here. All right, grade. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. New grade. Boom. And then let's go grade was not rounded. And then we do grade. All right, and I'll go over all this. So we have that. All right, let's go. And let's hit this, run this. All right, let's check and make sure, because again, broke a pretty big rule that I just did a lot of typing here. And okay, this path is wrong. Because here was my big net. Yep. Now, let's get this right. So now we skipped. I got all excited that Vinky had this exactly right. So I need to do if grade. What up? You heading out? Yeah. All right. Have a good day. If you need anything, let me know. All right. If grade. I think we just had. I have some problems in my Discord. ACC. Oh, we just had. Let's see. Where'd my Discord button go? No way. All right, so we just had somebody just join Discord. Awesome. All right, so I got a major issue here. So I checked the first big bucket, but I did not check the next smaller bucket. So I skipped over what Vinky was saying because Vinky was 100% correct, and I got so excited that I moved right past it. So if grade 5 is modulo 5 is greater than or equal to 3, then do this. All right, now let's run this and check. Big bucket, separated this into 2 buckets. All of this and all of this. Then next bucket, is it inside of, is it within 2 of the next 5? That's what we're doing here. So big bucket, so we have 2 big scenarios. Then another scenario. Is it within 2? So now let's check this. And this is why running this code segment so you can see the output of what you tested is vital. Because if what I used to do all the time, and you saw that I was still doing it, you have no record of, you can't go back and look. So I was like, well, wait a second, this is rounding, but I did not put my constraint here. So now let's run this F9. All right, 99 after rounding 100. 73. Grade was not rounded. 61. We could work on that formatting. Grade was not rounded. 55. Now, we could go and make this even more specific for these paths. We could have this be, we could have two. We could have this else. So does everybody understand why I do not have an else here and I just have my return? Because it would be redundant. Because this is already, and you have debates over the syntax and how clean it is. And either way is correct. It just depends on how you like to look at it. Now, when you're working with somebody, they may have it specific. They're like, I want to see the else. Hey, write the else. You want to be able to do it. All right. I think Nico just sent me something else. What you got, Nico? All right. Yes. Oh, so you're writing. Oh, I've actually been on the fence about that. So what Nico's doing is passing in and using the system of actually typing into the command console, the command console, and passing in information, and then having Python parse it and then output it. That is very cool. We may actually be doing that because that is a good thing to be able to understand. So, all right, let's go back and finish this up. So I could have an else here because right now these last two are not rounding. But you may be thinking they're not rounding for the same reason. Because they're actually not rounding for two separate reasons. So let's look at this. So this is else. What do we want to say? Return f string grade not eligible, grade not eligible for rounding, and then here grade too low. Let's see. What I did was actually something I made. I can control my terminal using command in Discord. Oh, very cool. That is absolutely awesome. So you actually, I think I've seen those before. So you actually entered that into Discord and then it ran. That is very cool. Hey, I like that. I like that a lot. So if anybody's on here right now and looking and wondering what Nico did, Nico actually put that under the general Python, under the Python chat channels. So you can go and see. So he called bash, and what it did is it used the command and it went ahead and calculated 1 + 1. So that's actually very cool, Nico. I like that. That is very cool. All right, so grade not eligible for rounding. And what am I throwing? F string is missing a placeholder. Yes, it is. Then grade. And grade is too low for rounding. Yeah. And I'll go, let's talk about this for a second. So now, and I'll also give you an example. So now you can see, so since I didn't copy and paste and move this down, but I could go back over here and I still have the code differential between these two. So if I wanted to come over here and copy and paste it back over here, I would have the example. All right, I think Nico sent something else. What did Nico do? Yep, that's exactly what I figured you had done, because the evaluate function, we're probably going to talk about that soon. In Python, you're able to mix. Python's actually able to read a string and can evaluate it. Hang on a second, everybody. All right. Can evaluate it and know what to talk about. But let's go over this, and then we can look at the evaluate function. So 99 gets rounded to 100. All right, cool. 73 gets rounded to 75. All right, cool. 64 to 65. We could maybe move this around and say, hey, I don't think we should round any D's. So you could move this to 70. So that would be, and actually what we could do, because I love creating dynamic functions. The more dynamic they are, I think the better they are designed. So we could actually send in a second argument here, make this dynamic, and be like, call this threshold. And let's say that you really had a really strict teacher, and they're like, look, I'm not going to round a D. I'm definitely not even going to round a C. So it would have to be greater than 80, and then it would do all of these things for you. But that little touch right there, making that dynamic. And then also, I guess we could even round this to making this dynamic. You could change this to, no, I'm not going to round a 93 to a 95, but I will round a 94 to a 95. So you could call this threshold, and that then like how much to round. So all of these things to think about. You could make this, pass in 3 arguments, change the grade, change the threshold, and then change the degree in which you're going to round. No, I'm not going to round it by 2, but I'll round it by 1. Now that would be very cool. So you'd change this, be able to change that to threshold, and then the amount of rounding, and then you'd have to do the inverse of that, because they wouldn't understand the remainder of 3. That would actually be a really cool exercise to do. Round by 1. Oh yeah, round by 1. So that calculation would be 5 minus by. That would be very cool. And these are the things that you need to start doing. How can I make this better? What would a user want? Put yourself, and that's hard for a designer, an engineer, somebody who's doing all of these things. What would the user want? That is a hard place to be in. So let's go back and check this. So 99 to 100, 73 to 75, 64 to 65, 61, grade not eligible for rounding. Boom. And grade is too low for rounding. And helps if you spell low correctly. All right, let's rerun this. F9. Here we go. All right. Too low for rounding. All right. What's Nico got going on? Let's see. Yep. That is exactly true. So now I like it. Yep. So you're hard coding. Okay, maybe we can talk about that. But actually, before we go, let's go ahead and look at what the evaluation function is doing. So help on eval. So what is this? It's a built-in function. Eval source evaluates sources in context of globals and locals. Source may be a string representing a Python expression or code returned by compile. So this is one of the things that is that I still can't really wrap my head around, because it can understand this. Because it understands that these are digits. This is not an integer, but this is a digit, a string. An integer, which is a string, is a digit. So it's the same concept. All thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. All right, let's see. Yeah, I gotcha. That's what I wondered, what was going on. Okay. Sorry, Nico's having a good time on Discord right now. So it understands that even as a string, this is an operator for addition, and then because you can use this, like if you haven't seen my calculator video, go and check that out. And I think I actually have that on GitHub. Yeah, I think the calculator has its own folder in GitHub. And what we did is we built a calculator. So as we're pressing the buttons or typing, so we have that as it's taking in and it's updating the input box, and it's updating that, and then we press equals. Well, you need to have a string of data as it's being put to the screen, so it has to be a string to output, and then you need to run the eval function on your string of information. So it's extremely handy, and it handles it for you, so you don't have to go and parse out everything, convert it into an arithmetic problem function inside of Python. The evaluate function handles all this for you. All right. So that was very cool. So we are, let's see, where are we? We're an hour and 43. Is there anything pressing to go over today? And I love these right here, because you have to think about the pattern and the buckets. Because once you begin to train yourself to see these patterns, you can't unsee them, and you see them everywhere. And then you begin to write. So we just did the. I want you to take a second. I want you to take a second and look and see what we did. We could have done this with a bunch of ifs and elif statements, but we just wrote this in two decisions, and then we did a formula, and then we had to tweak some output, because we have our if and our else and our if and our else. So we had two big buckets, 1, 2, and then inside of this bucket we had to then break it out. And we were able to really figure it out with one decision, and then we did a formula. We figured out a formula because we didn't have to check 2, because we threw 93 and 94 into the same bucket, and then we came up with a formula to do it. So I know that seems super simple when you first look at this, but to derive, when you're reading and you're seeing me do this, it makes perfect sense. So if you're anything like me, I remember, I think it was that first number triangle, and it said okay, and I'm like, yeah, I completely understand that. And it goes, okay, now flip it. And that took me forever. Same thing with the chicken nugget example, the prime number. First 1,000 prime numbers, that took me forever. That took me probably 2 months to figure it out. I wish that laptop was still working and I could see when and how I created that. Because actually my daughter, we were talking about MIT and all of the classes. Like they put in every single entire class that they have on their website. It's MIT open source, like literally open source. They open up everything. But we did not have to figure out a way. We don't have to have a remainder of 3 and a remainder of 4. We do it here. And then we devised our math function that Venki helped us with. The grade plus 5 minus the remainder. That was, I think, yeah. So we went through. There we go. Right there. So, and then we didn't have to take the remainder. We left it as the actual formula there. So we put a formula inside a formula, which is completely legal in Python. All right. Anything pressing before we wrap for today? Because I'm going to try to get out of the house and get to the gym and get to the store and come back and start making videos and applying for every single job I can see on the internet. So, all right, we just had some people drop in. So we finished up rounding, a specific rounding scenario, and we finished up leap year. Anybody have any questions? I'll hang out here for a minute. And then we actually talked about the subtleties of communication, where everybody thinks the communicating is the actual act of using your words or using visuals. And that's actually my argument is that's actually the secondary effect. The more you understand something. So I don't even argue. I would argue that most hiring managers and bosses don't even understand that subtlety of an aspect, because again, I'm 47 and I had this epiphany yesterday. So if you want to become better at communicating, don't spend time trying to explain it. Spend more time trying to understand it, because you have Einstein, you have Richard Feynman. If you want to be, it's the same variation statement, but if you want to become an expert at something, teach it. I didn't understand. I accidentally figured that out. I became better at martial arts when I was a teenager, and I began teaching. When I was a teenager, I was teaching. I was training the adults that were coming in as managers. I got a position at a company that I was the trainer as a 16-year-old. Maybe I was 17, and I trained all the adult managers who were going to be my boss. Well, technically, I didn't work for them. I worked for one specific general manager, and I reported to her. She was very instrumental in my learning and my development of how to connect with people. So then when I was in the warehouse, I figured out that I became a much better operator of the equipment and of the skills that I had accumulated by me teaching them. I had this one aha. Yep, absolutely, Dax. So as I was explaining something, I was like, did you hear that? That's why you want to do. So I was doing something subconsciously, and I was unaware of it. So me articulating this, because your verbal and your verbal skills and your auditory nerves part and your auditory part of your brain work independently. So that's why if you're writing something, you need to read it out loud, because you can do both, and that's how you catch a mistake in your writing. So I had an English teacher teach me that. She goes, you need to start reading this out loud, because I know what's happening. Your brain is going faster than you can write, and you still think that word's there when you read it. And I was like, oh, that's crazy funny. So I digress about that. So when I began learning, so I always made the joke, I became a better forklift driver when I started training people. So when I started learning Python, I was like, man, I've got to figure out a way to start teaching somebody, because that's the only way I'm going to get better. So I convinced my kids' schools to let me come in and teach programming, and they were getting a benefit from it, and so was I. But I knew I was getting more from it, and I was giving my experience and my knowledge and my information away for free. I made it worthwhile for both of us. I was becoming a better programmer, and I was giving something back to the school, the community, and actually then also at the time, it really became easy when I said, hey, if I come and volunteer, Walmart will give you money. They said, do what now? And I said, yeah. So because they thought I was there and I needed to log time. I'm like, no. The longer I'm here, the more money you get. So they pretty much let me do whatever I wanted to. And so I would give the school $1,000. Well, Walmart would give them $1,000 every year tied to our volunteer program. So they were very, very happy to have me there. And I became a better programmer, which then that led into the YouTube channel. My younger son was like, you got to make a YouTube channel. I was like, man, I don't know. And if you go back and watch some of my first videos, they are awful. Actually, I may get up the nerve. I don't know if I can do that. I mean, the size, it was just so bad. Bad mic, bad video, bad size. I didn't even understand the difference between the sizing of the videos, and I was just putting it up, and I numbered them. So here's the thing. So here's a little bit of backstory. So I numbered the episodes so I would not be able, I would not allow myself to delete them, because if you saw episodes 10 and 15 and 11, I think I've only deleted one, but I refilmed it because it had so many mistakes in it. It wasn't just that I was uncomfortable, because you would see that I have left a ton of very uncomfortable content on the internet, but there was just it was just riddled with so many errors. Oh, Dax, if you're still here, as I was doing the Monty Hall problem yesterday, I was recalling my dad, he's an engineer. He's pretty darn good at math, pretty good at statistics. The day that you jumped on and watched all those videos and you watched Random Seed, I was actually trying to prove to my father while we were at Red Lobster that switching the doors was correct. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that day and the Monty Hall. So all of it came full circle, and then having you here today. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever forget that day, because I don't know if you are showing publicly that you are subscribed, but I went back and started to look that I think most of because you were 87, most of those 86 before you, I believe, have dropped, and there's only a handful. So you're probably, if we were to look at this proportionally of subscriber length, you would probably be in the top 10. So I just wanted to share that, because you've been around a long time. I don't even know if I can come back and zoom in, because that was when I was getting so little views that spike was, because I was getting like 10 views a day when Dax watched that day. Let me see, because I think this was the first spike that I ever had. Let me see if I can go back to a custom and look from 17 through 18. Let's go back August 18, and let's see if I can see the total gap, and I can tell you exactly the day. Let's do total. Yep, here you go, Dax. I can tell you exactly. I think this would have been, that had to have been the spike. So July 28th of 2018, that's how long Dax has been around. And the channel was only a little over a year old, because I think I had another spike, but I think I know the reason for that one. But to give you an idea, that day when Dax watched, because he was half the views, that day had 138 views. Okay. And still active. Dax is very cool. I greatly appreciate, and Dax, I may be, because I think I'm going to have to, because I'm getting a whole bunch of rejections. I think I'm going to have to, because I don't technically know BI or Tableau, but one of my former teammates, we were talking on the phone, and she said, well, don't want to air out, if other members of our old team could do it, I could do it. But I don't technically know how to do it, so I don't have it on my resume. And, so it's a combination of don't have any visualization experience and or education. So I can't do anything posting on first video. Give me more posting on, you're actually watching the first video. You're pulling up the first video right now. Awesome. I appreciate it. So yeah, Dax has been basically since the beginning, because this channel is seven years old. So Dax has been around 6 and hanging in there, and always giving me encouragement, and has reached out and shared some things and some encouragement. So all right, I know I've rambled on. Anything else pressing that we want to address before I drop? Because 6 years ago, I posted on, okay, I got it. Yep, along with Idle, jumped in, and yep, yeah, because you made. Let me go back, because like I said, I was at the restaurant, and I just happened to look up and check on my phone, because you posted a comment. That was it. You posted a comment, and then I clicked over, and I saw the views on the channel, and it was a huge spike. Here, let me get. Do I have Snippet open? Snip. So to give you guys perspective, let me pull this up, and then we can drop. But clankety. What'd I say? Custom, change August to 18, apply, then click. Nope, that didn't. 18, not 19. Don't know why that didn't. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So check this out. Let me get Snippet open. And drag this over here so you guys can see. Let me compress this a little bit. It's bigger than. So each of these are 50. So I think that was my son. But 54 views, and here's Dax. Shot me up over 100 for the very first time. That was awful. So that was extremely cool. So I'm looking at it right now. It was 138 that day, and Dax watched like 40 videos. So to give you an idea, almost a third that day with one viewer. So I really appreciate it. All right, I know I've rambled on. We haven't talked about anything. So don't know what tomorrow will bring. But as always, we'll do something beneficial. If you've not liked the video, the live stream, go ahead and please do that for me. If you've not joined Discord, please make sure you're over there. We are at 302 members on the Discord. I greatly appreciate that. That's probably the fastest way, because and if it's a more complicated question, I'm able to answer more and we can share. You can copy and paste code a lot easier. Let's see. All right, Dax, you have a great day too. Thank you, man. But yeah, we'll head out. We'll wrap this up. Like I said, I need to eat and head to the gym and get going on my great day of applying for jobs and tracking my rejection letters. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't quite know what we'll talk about, but we'll have a good time doing it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.